Hey everybody, it's March 31st, Thursday. There's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, but today I'm only going to be talking about one, and that is Biden removing Title 42. For those of you who don't remember, it's when Trump threw out this title saying that migrants that are trying to cross the border could be a health risk because they could be COVID carriers. Well, with all of the vaccinations gone worldwide, and especially here in the United States, the fact of the matter is that the chances of catching COVID from a migrant is incredibly low, and it's almost impossible. It's just not going to be happening anytime in the near future, so to say. But here's the thing. The CDC, hold on, let me lower this. Sorry about that. And I think the microphone is down here also. Sorry, it's at the bottom instead of at the top. Okay, here's the thing. The CDC plans to give administration until late May, which will be May 23rd of this year, to wind down the policy in order to prepare for an expected influx of migrants at the border. Now, currently, thousands of asylum seekers having to take refuge in encampments along the Mexican side of the border are waiting for the end of this policy. I mean, we're talking a large amount here. It's expected to be about 18,000 per day. 18,000 migrants, according to what the Department of Health and Services say. 1.7 million migrants explosion since March of 2020. So yeah, about 18,000 migrants per day. Now, the administration says to brace for it, a migrant increase, guesstimating to be from Cuba, Colombia, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Russia, and Ukraine. Which makes sense given the fact that we've got a lot of asylum seekers, Russian defectors, and Ukrainians that are fleeing the invasion. Yeah, I mean, we've got them coming from all over the place, and it's a bit silly why it's taken this long to knock down Title 42, given the fact that you could still get COVID even from people in Russia and Ukraine. But again, everybody worldwide has been getting vaccinated or treated. You know, that ivermectin or drinking bleach stuff. Or hydroxychloroquine. Now, that being said, there is going to be an influx of migrants. We know this. And as I've stated through previous complaints concerning migrants and law enforcement, I got to go back to stating law enforcement needs to be left alone to do law enforcement's work and not the labors of the migrant agencies. Okay? Law enforcement just needs to keep rounding up illegals, particularly the traffickers, because them doing the work of registering and name taking and filing migrants that are already captive and held and taken to asylum seeking encampments or even, encampments is where they're being sent. For law enforcement to have to do the paperwork on this has been proven to be a complete failure. Okay? Especially here in the Lone Star State. I really hate to spit on my home state of Texas, but we've got Greg Gestapo Abbott that's running our state, and he's running the agencies to the ground. He's having them removed and all of the funding that goes to them removed, and it's going straight to DPS, not even the Department of Health and Services. It's going straight to Department of Public Safety and other forms of law enforcement, including the military, the state military. It's not even America's military. It's Lone Star. It's the Texas military, National Guard. and his administration. In the meantime, people are being trafficked. You know, the asylum seekers are getting assaulted, raped, kidnapped, if not just plain vanishing off the face of the earth. They're missing, and they're getting hit by the cartel on the Mexican side. And when they get caught here in on the American side, they're getting sent to these encampments where they're being mistreated, if not assaulted, if not sexually assaulted. And it ranges from adults to kids. And for those who are in shock, like, what the hell am I talking about? Well, I can't remember what the article was, but I can tell you that one of my earlier statements concerning this subject was about the harsh, cruel conditions that many of these migrants were going through, including being assaulted, physically assaulted, beaten, raped, and sexually attacked. Again, from as far as a couple of adults all the way down to little kids. A total of 4,500 plus just on the sexual assault alone. 4,500. And this happened during 2014 to 2018. From the time that, from Obama's latter years, all the way heading into the middle of Trump's administration, right smack dab in the middle of Trump's administration. All of this knowledge came up. All of these reports were finally filed. And by the time 2018 came around, 2019, 2020, that's when we found out about all of these problems that were taking place through agencies that were supposed to be taking care of, or if not just simply supervising over the migrants that were apprehended. Okay? They were supposed to be supervising, they were supposed to be doing their part in managing them. And what happened was abuse, assaults, and again, rapes, and it didn't matter what age they were. They were adults, they were little kids. And this was all under, the four states. It wasn't just my governor, Greg Abbott. However, because I know my Texas, I know who to blame. And in this show, it is Greg Abbott. Okay? Whoever it is that's doing it in Arizona, New Mexico, and California, you guys got to tackle that, whoever you are in those states. I haven't looked it up yet. I haven't looked it up because I'm still tackling the horse crap that's going on here in the Lone Star State. My state, my problem, and I'm exploiting it. Okay? 4,500. Now, we've had Homeland Security. We've had the Department of Homeland Security under Alejandro Mayorkas, who is doing fine. But again, all of this stuff going on under his nose, and that's the restrictions based upon by my governor, Greg Abbott. Okay? Closing the encampments, not letting anybody donate, not anybody see if they're okay, not anybody tend to them medically, and certainly not anybody that could help them through the process of vetting. 4,500 complaints of sexual assaults and abuse of migrant children committed by adult staff members, okay, in charge of detaining them. All right? Now, Biden was supposed to be on top of this stuff, and for the most part, he is. For the most part. It's specifically and secretly underneath everybody's noses is where bad stuff like this happens. Okay? We're talking about the freezing temperatures that they place on them, that the Border Patrol and human health services and stuff. They're ratting everybody out. We're also talking about the organizations that are ripping off the government, with the problem being our tax-paying dollars that are financing them. Okay? And I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to mention it again. I want to try to find it so I can read it to you word for word, instead of going based off of the memory. We're going to start with ICE. ICE, that's been collecting tons of money and finances through the government, is also is responsible for doing stuff like releasing illegal immigrant felons back out into the streets. Once in Del Rio, 2 in Austin, and some of these were sexual offenders. Okay, these are illegal migrants, and to be honest, they're still being investigated. They're still pushing off the investigation here and there. It's been happening since 2020. They've been dodging the investigations all this time. The National Association of Christian Churches, for one, the mistreatment, they were in charge of girls aged 13 to 17. So all under 18, all post-teen, not preteen. No preteens. Okay? They were in charge of girls, and they mistreated them pretty badly. They had this thing where they were only being fed once a day. They had only one restroom break. To top it all off, this was in a warehouse that was being rented. And if any of you know warehouse, there's no multiple bathrooms and showers. There's one section in a warehouse for men and women's bathrooms. And then there's the administration people in the office, which obviously those that were taking care, that were, well, not taking care of, but detaining these girls. It's obvious that they were in the air-conditioned office, nicely carpeted grounds and all carpeted floors and partitions and all this good stuff with their own employee bathrooms, while leaving, I think it was 200 or 300 girls to have to use one employee bathroom. And to top it all off, they were only permitted to do this once out of the day. They were permitted to only eat once a day, and they were permitted to use the restroom once a day. Girls, even migrant girls, have to be maintenance. They have their own maintaining schedules, you know. And get this, the National Association of Christian Churches, they took $4 million just to do this. They took $4 million requested by HHS Secretary Javier Becerra. Unfortunately, that guy is still in the administration, despite the fact that he does not meet the standards set by the Biden administration. He's still in the agency, being protected by his bosses or whoever's in charge, keeping it protected, working the National Association of Christian Churches. Okay? SOS-1. SOS-1 is a very disturbing one. The supervisor with the contracted services supports the claim that unaccompanied minors are being released without proper documentation or following protocol to traffickers. Okay? They're claiming that they're verifying sponsors, but yet it's not being done. And they're claiming some of the children may be going back to the people who want to exploit them, despite the fact that SOS-1, this refugee camp, is denying it all. But here's the thing: these guys who are doing this, you know, they're still getting paid somehow. They're still getting paid for their services, more than just what the government is permitting. Okay? How are they doing that? Well, they're getting people that are requesting children who are saying that they could take care of them and sponsor them. And SOS One, this rescue organization, is just permitting it, and without even background checks and stuff. And they're getting paid to do this by the people who are sponsoring, which means that the people that there's a deal that's being done on both sides of the border concerning the person transporting the migrants and the person that's accepting them. A payoff still has to be done. SOS One is accepting those payoffs in exchange for giving the kids to or just migrants in general to the human traffickers. Okay, Estrella, Southwest Key Estrella. It's a facility out of Tucson, Arizona. No, I said I'm sticking to just Texas organizations. I still am. But you got to understand, Southwest Key is even here in Texas. Okay, they've branched out. It's originated out of Arizona, but they got to branch out here in Texas just the same. Okay, they've actually dropped off kids to flagged sponsors also, not just sponsors that say, hey, let me go ahead and take the kid and take care of them, but people that are still under investigation and that the government is not sure of as to whether or not the person is legitimately, a legal sponsor. Southwest Key Estrella doesn't give a damn. And they're the main contractor over at the Freeman Coliseum, which is over here in San Antonio. So they've actually done some undocumented contractors to people, and even a couple of law enforcement agents, and they're dodging a bullet right now, not being persecuted. Okay. Now it's a lack of training people, to keep them from being, flagged. But to keep an eye on the flag, to look out for flagged sponsors. Okay. And these are just the things, small number of things that are hit hard in a very big way. Because it's something that we've got to seriously keep an eye out. And this is what I was talking about with, we must be kept out of the dark concerning crime on asylum seekers, because this whole shebang where these agencies are closing everything off and keeping the public from knowing what's going on. This is how people all the way down to kids are getting assaulted. People all the way down to even the little kids are getting trafficked. They're being sponsored for people that aren't legit or are in question. They are in question. And it turns out that they're being trafficked. They're disappearing right off the face of the earth. So they're being trafficked. We really need to be more mindful this time. We really need to be kept out of the dark, and we need to be staying alert to watch out for this crimes within the organizations, the American organizations that are supposed to be protecting, if not caring, while the migrants are detained under our supervision. Because it turns out that they're just as bad as the people that are out to traffic them and do these horrific crimes against them, committing crimes against humanity, committing crimes against the asylum seekers. So good job with removing Title 42. It makes sense. There's tons of us that are vaccinated now. There's tons of ways of treating this now, the pandemic. The only problem is that we just seriously need to keep an eye on everything. We need to put it under the microscope, under a magnifying glass. We need to keep a good eye over everything to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And then I'm thinking, once we get all the migrants here and processed, I think we should really do something about these countries, because these are all Latin American countries, with the exception of Russia and Ukraine. These are Latin American countries in the Americas, our side of the world. And they're all running to us, the greatest country in the world, because of how horrible everything is being run there. My question is, are these countries like Ukraine, where they're friends but not really NATO allies? Is that the reason why we're not intervening? Or is it because of bigotry? Is it because of prejudices? Is it because of greed? I personally think it's because of corporate greed. This is the reasons why our country is just letting these Latin countries, even though they're Americas, they're countries of the Americas. I think that corporate greed is just letting everybody run straight to the ground, and that it's not happening here because there's still too much legislation and trials and juries and stuff like that to actually stop that kind of crap from going on. What's going on in Venezuela? What's going on in Ecuador? What's going on in El Salvador? A bunch of horrible things that are taking place, and people are being driven out. And if they're not being driven out by terroristic powers, meaning the gangs or cartels, then they're being driven out through economic poverty, which is the greed corporations have. Either way, it's all about the money. And belief is the tool. Those that believe that they're doing what's best for their country, those that believe that they're doing whatever they want and that they can, regardless of the fact that they're doing it to their own country, and those that believe that that leaving the country and coming here is the best thing to do. Why? Because it's all about the money. They need money. They need to work. They need to earn. They need to make a living. Whether they're asylum seekers that are actual victims of their own country, or whether they're criminals ready to instigate and come into our territory and start screwing things up for us here, ruining everything on our society. But whatever the case, wherever you land on, wherever they land on, it's all based off of this motto that I go by, that it's all about the money. Belief is the tool. If there's anything to try to understand about the stuff that's going on in the world, that would be the thing to remember. The key, the one rule of thumb to remember. It's all about the money. Belief is the tool. And that's how we've got to seriously keep an eye on everything concerning this subject. Money. Traffickers are going to want to bank on this. Money. The organizations that are in charge of them are going to want to bank on this, and then they're going to want to make you believe, whether you're a cartel member or not, the cartels are going to want to make you believe that there's nothing you can do to stop them. The agencies that are working for the government off of our tax-paying dollars, not just yours, but mine as well. I'm still just a rideshare driver. Mine as well, my tax-paying dollars as well. They're banking off of this cruel treatment of the migrants in their encampments of them. And they're making you believe that they're on the right side. Okay? It's all about the money. Religion is the tool. The National Association of Christian Churches was the only one that I got a chance to find out how much they're getting paid. $4 million just to keep it. And they only kept them for like a month and a half. Greg Abbott came down, did a tour, and despite the fact that all of the detainees said that they're being treated fine this time. Greg Abbott did a tour, didn't ask anybody what the hell was going on, came back out and said, all the boys in there, here in San Antonio, they were boys. All the boys in there are being raped. I demand that custody be custody taken to Border Patrol. Just like that. Now, obviously, when the reporters went in and asked the kids in there if they were being mistreated, they said no, they were being treated fine. And they gave testimony. There was two of them that bravely stepped up with the best English that they could, that said, hey, we're okay. But that was all that scare that Greg Abbott gave was all that Biden needed to close down the asylum here in San Antonio and in Houston, the one where the girls were. And they all got sent back to the border. They're still on American territory. No, they're not anymore. They were still on American territory until earlier this year when a Texas judge ruled in favor of deporting them, regardless of the fact that they weren't a security risk. They were minors too. So they got sent back to the border towns where overcrowding took place, and complications with the law in apprehending criminals took place. So, and to top it all off, those organizations that took, like the National Christian Association of Christian Churches, took $4 million, spent about $100,000 easy over there, and well, where's the rest of the money? I don't know. But my best guess would be to try checking their church parking lots, where you're going to see some brand new updated vehicles, maybe even Hummers. Who knows? $4 million can buy a lot of things. But as far as that goes, that's the only organization that I was capable of finding out how much of our tax-paying dollars went to them. Okay? I don't know anything about Estrella Southwest, or excuse me, Southwest Key. I don't know anything about SOS 1. I don't even know if it's still there, despite the fact that they got busted for handing out kids to sponsored guardians that didn't even check out. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how much they got paid, how much tax-paying dollars they got paid or not. But that's the deal there. And I'm so happy that you let me vent this much out. It's already half of a darn hour. And I just had to bring up those nightmarish statistics and happenings because that's what we are to expect very, very soon in May when the Title 42 gets lifted. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's hope that everything pans out okay. And that we're permitted to keep an eye out. I wouldn't have minded dropping, some canned goods. I wouldn't mind donating some blankets. I've got a few of them myself. Towels, hygiene products, stuff to keep bacteria and anything infectious like viruses from spreading. I wouldn't mind, loaning some hand sanitizers, donating some hand sanitizers and stuff like that. Wipies, for them also. So we got to make sure that we're permitted to, and the only way to do that is by making sure that we got an eye on everything, we the people. So wish us luck. Take care of each other. We'll see you around. Thank you so much for hearing me out. This was Chris with Chris's Comments, a show of common sense on common grounds, no matter what the subject. We'll catch you later.